Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Not Tonight, which is a bouncer simulation game on Steam. So what is Not Tonight? So basically it's an indie game where you play as a doorman or bouncer depending on what your terminology is. So you're an immigrant in Britain and you work on the door. So you start in pubs, you go to clubs, you go to various organizations to earn money, to pay the bills, etc, etc. So the core gameplay is split into two different things. One, you've got the apartment, which is where you live, which is very basic. You don't really do too much other than go on your phone, look through your apps, do a bit of shopping, pay the bills, check your bouncer app to see if you've got any new jobs. Then you'll leave, go for a job, and then you get into the nitty gritty of what the game's really about. So in Not Tonight, you work on the door. So your job is to check IDs. So the owners of the place will give you certain specifications like date of birth, photos, check it's stamped, check it's not out of date, things like that. So think of this game like a document checking game. You get a long queue of people that have to come in. You've got to get a certain amount in the venue, otherwise you'll fail. And it's really about checking all the details, because if you get it wrong, it goes like as a negative mark. You get too many negatives, you fail. Now, initially, I quite liked it. I'd say for the first hour or two, I thought this was quite fun, but the novelty, it does wear off. You know, like the best way I could describe how this game made me feel is it's like having quite a boring office job where you're checking documents all day long, except you're not getting paid for it. That's kind of what this feels like, which I'm not a massive fan of. I think if you're a very young kid and you've never had a job or you've never actually owned an apartment or had to do the boring stuff in life, you'll probably find this quite amusing. For everybody else, it will just be like, oh my god, really? I've got to do it in a game as well? Like my real life isn't boring enough? So, you know, it's not a bad game necessarily. I like the idea, but the document checking, after a little while, it does start to really grate. Also, the game is a little bit too pseudo-political, like it's clearly made by people who are anti-Brexit. Now, I couldn't give a shit either way about that subject. I'm so bored of it. I'm not one who likes political agendas put in my games, and I think that was annoying. Also, the sound has some really quite irritating voice. They don't have any voices for the characters. They just have this little boop, 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 annoying sounds, which really got on my pip. The visuals are quite nice. It's that pixel art style. You know, it all looks good. And there's nice music when you're at the venues. Like every time you let someone in the venue, you hear the door open and you get a little taste of the music, like when you're queuing outside a real club. So that's quite good. Good and bad points. Good points, I would say it's got a kind of novelty value and it's kind of quirky presentation. But yeah, it's quite numbing. I would say the bad points are very repetitive. And it's quite dull, you know, it's like being a document checker. That's not much fun, especially if you're not getting paid to do it, you're just doing it. You're paying them to buy the game to do a boring job, not for me. So negatives, I think it's just quite dull, really. That's the big negative. It's just not something that's much fun, even though it appears to be fun, like the presentation will mislead you a little bit. Okay, verdict. Well, what do I think of Not Tonight? I think it's okay. Like, this is the kind of experience I think would work well in a bigger game as a mini game within it, because as a standalone game, I just found it quite dull, I'll be honest. Once you've done it a few times, it just becomes like, it's like having an admin job where your boss is always on your ass because you didn't check every little part of the document. So yeah, for me, it brought back bad memories of the past. Not keen, but it's not like an awful game, but I think it's really one for kids or people who haven't had a real life yet, people who live with their parents or they haven't had a job and they haven't been exposed to the mind-numbing grind of real life. Something to look forward to, kids. You just wait. So scoring wise, I'd give it 5.5 because I think there's something there, but I also think it's quite dull as well. Novelty value, you know, 2 hours, good. After that, please, you know, like save me from the boredom. That's what it kind of felt like. It was a real chore after that. So yeah, not a great game, but you know, someone might like it. Don't know who. Someone who likes checking documents and not getting paid. There you go. Okay, that's the review. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you.